Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show.
Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters Business, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Marco Juarez on the line, and he's a senior partner over at Coleman Consulting Group. Marco, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So good schedules save companies millions of dollars. I think that's a correct and accurate statement, and interested to get your insight into how that works. And maybe just to get us kicked off, I mean, how does someone know if a schedule is a good schedule?
So, that one is a question that Coleman has focused our entire 37 years solving, and it really comes down to three key elements. And it's a careful balance of identifying business needs, the employee desires, and the health and safety factors, and finding that schedule or set of schedules, usually not just one, but a set of schedules that fit all three of those circles. And I like to say, and what I've learned over the years of doing this, is that sometimes it's that spot where those things result in the least amount of compromise to get the right schedule. What do I mean by that? Well, when you think about health and safety as an example, and you think about a business spending, whether it's thousands, millions, or billions of dollars to build a factory or put their business in place, and they decide, okay, I want to operate a third shift. Well, why do they do that? They do that because they spend all that money. They want that return on investment. But a third shift isn't necessarily the healthiest and safest schedule. I mean, the human body is just has not evolved to work the night shift. There's some people that love it, but for the most part, 99.9% of the people out there really don't want to be working night shift. So there's a compromise there from a health and safety standpoint. Even employees will compromise. They may compromise working the night shift because, hey, I have to do it because I need an income. It's the only job I can find. I have to do it because my spouse and I, we share childcare. And I work the night shift and take care of the kids during the day, and she works the day shift and is home all night long. And so there's all these compromises that happen to get to that center point where you find the right schedule that fits all three of those circles.
That's awesome. And I, as you're talking about the schedule and scheduling, I'm thinking about mine. I'm thinking about how this works. I'm thinking about different transitions in my career and how things have looked. Is there, and I don't know if this is a silly question, but is there any particular schedule that works for every company, or like, is this a moving target? I mean, like, how does that work?
Yeah, so, a lot of times I hear that question a lot. I've been doing this for 22 years, and usually people ask it in the form of, hey, are 8-hour shifts better, or 10-hour shifts better, or 12-hour shifts better?
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking in my head.
All right, is this start time better, or that start time better? And it's funny, Coleman Consulting Group, we define schedules differently than anybody else. So we don't think of schedules as day on, day off patterns or shift lengths. So, certainly those are really important parts of a schedule. People have to know when to show up for work, when to go home, or more importantly, what are their days off, right? That's what really people think about. When are my days off? When I get off work? But for us, a schedule is really a system for deploying capital and personnel with employee buy-in and specific work pay and coverage policies. So what I mean by all that, deploying capital and personnel, it focuses in on that business need circle, getting the right person in the right place at the right time to do the right job. And it's usually about providing good customer service or making the job very efficient, saving the company money. And then employee buy-in. A lot of people think, well, the best schedule is going to make everybody happy. Well, number one, you're never going to make everybody happy anywhere, right? You can give out gold bars to everybody in a company. Somebody's going to complain that you didn't deposit it in the bank for them, and even though they got the gold bar. So employee buy-in is about involving everybody in the process of understanding why they work the schedule they work and offering people the opportunity to have input into that. Whether they end up with something they like or not, at least they know how they got there and why they got there and why it's important for the business to operate a certain schedule. And then finally, the right work pay and coverage policies. Whatever shift length a company has, or whatever days on and days off a company has, the right policies so that people understand how vacation works exactly, how holidays work exactly, how their time off benefits work exactly, are very important to making sure that people stay happy and the company doesn't lose any money in the process of trying to provide these benefits to people. So really, the best schedule again comes down to those three circles, and the best schedule is relative. What might be best for one company or one part of the country may be completely different for a different part of the country.
So with different schedules, I feel like would come different complexity and management. What happens if a schedule becomes too hard to manage? What then?
Yeah, so that can happen pretty easily. It's the reason a lot of companies wind up just doing one size fits all. Everybody works the same schedule. Realistically, if you want the best schedule for everybody, you want to make as many people happy as possible, you might actually have 2, 3, 4, 5 multiple schedules within a facility or within a company, and people get to choose and pick as long as it fits the business needs. And the hard part about that is that becomes very hard to manage. Who's coming? Who's going? Who's supposed to be here? Who's not? It reminds me of a project that I worked on once, and the owner of the company could sit up on the 5th floor. He could see the shifts change. He saw people coming in and out, and he was a very hands-on owner. And even though there was 1,000 people in the factory, he kind of knew everybody because he'd been there for so long, and he'd hired most of these people, and so he could see people coming and going. And we introduced a new schedule, and all of a sudden, people were coming and going at different times, and he was very flustered, but the people were very happy. And so for him, it became very hard to manage because he couldn't see and he couldn't figure out who was coming and supposed to be coming and supposed to be going. And so what we've done over the years, we actually either partnered with software partners or we've actually developed our own product that allows companies to schedule employees, manage those schedules, know who's supposed to be here and not be here, all in real time, all taking into account the demand being placed on the business and what roles and what positions and what skills you need to make that happen. And so nowadays, software steps in and allows managers to manage very complex schedules. And so tools like that are really important in helping businesses today.
That's awesome. So, Marco, if somebody's listening to this, and they want to learn more about Coleman Consulting Group, so first thing is, what's typically a good fit to work with you and your company? Is it size of company? Is it niche? Is it industry? Give us a feel for who's a good fit typically.
Yeah, so our typical clients are manufacturing, distribution. We do a lot of food manufacturing, a lot of distribution centers, worked with call centers, really anything that has a round-the-clock type of operation. We worked with work groups as small as 25, but typically it's 100 or more employees within a facility, and again, those round-the-clock operations, whether they're operating Monday through Friday, operating 7 days a week, in a lot of cases, a lot of companies come to us because they've got these changing or fluctuating demands on their business. 1 week they may only require 4 days of operation. The next week they're doing 6. The next week they're doing 5, and the next week we need 7. And so when there's this variation in demand, scheduling becomes really tough, becomes unpredictable for employees. And so that's another typical situation that we run into. So we really have a broad range of clients that we've helped over the years.
Fantastic. So, Marco, what's the best way for people to connect and to connect with you and your team?
So the best way is to go online. You can find us online at Coleman-consulting.com. That's Coleman- the little minus sign, consulting.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Just look up Coleman Consulting, look for our 3 Circles logo, as well as LinkedIn at Coleman Consulting Group LLC. And again, look for our 3 Circles logo. There are a number of Coleman Consulting companies out there, but there's only one with the 3 Circles logo.
Perfect. Well, Marco, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work that you're doing over at Coleman Consulting Group. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Have a lot more great guests just like Marco coming up for you. And Marco, thanks again for coming on the show.
Adam, appreciate the time.